yeah, here's a climactic run. Yep, this is it. We're going to be facing the final boss of Blue Rider. Oh boy, here comes the epic music, an arm, and... what is this? It's a giant... Are we in space now? We just entered space, or some sort of star space or alternate dimension. But here's the final boss, this giant walker mech. We're at full health and oh gosh. Okay, these will split into several pellets, which will split into their own pellets, and oh my gosh. This is going to be a nightmare to dodge. Good thing I actually got that power up. Okay, first hit the eyes. That's the one that's dealing damage apparently. But this boss will definitely have multiple phases. I'm almost sure about it. I mean, in these games, the final bosses always have multiple forms. Why wouldn't they? Oh, whoa. I really wish I had the blue weapon, though. I probably missed the power-up. Well, I pretty much missed the power-up cannons. Oh, I can't hit the edges either. Yeah, couldn't dodge in time. To be fair, I'm probably going to have to replay the stage. And I know that these actually, whatever's on the top actually fires those purple orbs, so I have to be kind of cautious. As long as I keep close to this mech, I'm mostly... Okay, those yellow, those windows are the ones that actually fire those purple orbs. Come on, first phase, get destroyed. Yes, first phase is dead. Wait, what? Okay, it's collapsing and boom. Whoa, that was a quite impressive explosion. It blurred everything out. That's a giant core. Something must be in it. I mean, it's glowing purple and very ominously. Oh, it's pulling me in. Oh boy, what's going on? I'm getting sucked right in. Oh no, we're taking constantly 7 points of damage. Can we survive this? I knew this wasn't the end. Oh, wait a minute. We have all the other Blue Riders, all other Blue allies helping us. Can we do it? We're focusing our beam and... Oh. Oh, clever. So we're now just sawing the boss apart. So that's the climactic conclusion of this game. So yeah, here's the final core of the boss, and we're basically just tearing everything to shreds. What the? What just happened? Now, remember when I said that this boss would be better with the blue weapon? I decided, due to the weird oddity of the game exiting, I decided to refight this boss using the blue weapon, which I found thanks to an upgrade canister that was hidden on one part of the stage that I didn't visit. Long story short, this stage is a lot longer than it seems. Okay, let's refight this. The boss only has one weak point, which is that eye, so that's the thing you should pay attention to. And hopefully I can do it this time and not fail. Thankfully though, it doesn't switch its pattern over as time goes by. Whoa. The only problem is, of course, all the spread of projectiles that can get quite dangerous. In fact, just look at this. Well, it tries moving out of the way, but... Yep, that's the final boss. It's that easy. If you run right into it, you can just spam your missiles and it'll just blow it up. Combined with the blue weapon, yeah, a lot easier than I expected it to be. I was expecting something much more difficult or long form, so kind of disappointing if you ask me. But here we have the evil core or whatever. We get restored back to max health regardless. We get pulled in by this giant whatever this is. It's going to be firing a giant cannon to destroy us. We're taking 1 damage each. It's actually kind of the weakest weapon in terms of its damage potential, as no other enemy in the game or hazard actually dealt 1 damage. Here we have all our small allies, which we never saw before. Oh yeah, these are all the helpers that we could actually spawn. Now I remember. Sadly, they get destroyed, but we gained their special weapon, which is the laser. So as long as we spam the left click button, we have this giant death ray. So, yep. We're just dismantling the boss part by part. You may hear my mouse rapidly clicking in the background. Here's the evil core. Goodbye. There goes the final boss. So this final boss did have 2 phases. Well, the second phase was more of an awesome final boss or epic victory where all of our allies finish it off. But there we go. The evil entity or orb has been destroyed. A lot easier than anticipated. I was expecting something as difficult as the Octopus or level 7, or level 7's boss, or even level 8's boss. But oh well. I ended up with a primary weapon level of 11 with the blue weapon, the direct missiles at level 4. Sadly, I never reached more than level 12 or 13, and 30% final health. Overall pretty good, although I probably should explore this stage more as it holds a lot of secrets. Okay, let's see what's going to happen at the end. Well, our mech is on fire. To be fair, it was heavily damaged in the fight. So let's see where we're going. Bumping right into the rocks. Oh, I guess this is the credits then. So we're riding off into the sunset in a flaming mech, and we lost all of our allies who heroically sacrificed themselves in order to guard us from the evil laser. So I suppose this is the part where I talk about my general and final thoughts about this game. Overall, I pretty much enjoyed playing Blue Rider. There was a steady difficulty curve from going from easy to extremely difficult, and it was a nice introduction of enemies over environments that are easy to deal with and in much more difficult configurations later. As I said at the beginning of this part, I felt like not really the enemies, but the environments could have used more variety. Sure, we started out in the grasslands, then moved on to the desert, then a rainy desert, then the tropical islands, then a mystical forest, or ore forest. Then we moved on to an icy location, the very tense volcano, and this machine labyrinth. Oh, and we're crash landing right over here. I guess we're either unconscious or we're dead. So I suppose this is a heroic sacrifice for the Blue Rider. He died in the final boss fight against that giant saucer alien. Oh well, at least we restored peace to the land. Thank you. As always, the end. Before I click the end, I would like to give continue my final thoughts. The environments were good, sure. We had a classic progression between the grassy environment to the volcano to the final mechanical area, but I would have liked more variety. I felt like there was already 3 desert environments, and we could have done with one different environment, or maybe more emphasis on the rainy desert, like maybe floods that you have to avoid. But I did like the rainy desert because it forced you to cross all the bridges, and the fact is, the final boss of that stage was actually located where you started the stage. You just needed to destroy all those bridges, and you could actually exploit that by using speedrunning tactics, as going halfway across the bridge, and when it's collapsing, come right back. Speaking of speedrunning, I do like all the speedrunning potential of this game. If you look at the achievements, it's actually possible to complete the entire game under 30 minutes. And considering how during my test runs I kind of sped run stages 1 and later on 2, it's actually quite possible to complete the stages in under 30 seconds to 1 minute while collecting all of the important power-ups. But it is quite challenging because you have to avoid all the enemies, and trust me, some of the enemies are much more deadly than others, like for example the bunker enemies and the missile launchers. To be fair though, I was kind of surprised that we didn't see some of the bunker enemies in the ice stage back in the volcano, at least one part, or in the ice caverns. Generally, in enemy design, I quite liked it. We started with the easy walkers who fired one pellet at a time, to the spread shots, and all enemies usually dealt 10 to 15 points of damage, and the main way they got more difficult was more bullet spread. We started with those, the lock-on missiles, well, dumb missiles, then the lock-on missiles, the smarter lock-on missiles, the increase in variety. Then we had the minigun walkers with the small pellets, the big pellets, the large missiles. Then we had those giant mechs and the bunkers, of course. Not to mention the progression of the bosses, which became more and more creative. Like, we started out with that giant walker in stage 1, then we moved on to the that laser bunker of sorts. Then we moved on to that giant scorpion, which caused me no end of problems, until I figured out how to dodge projectiles. Stage 4's boss of that octopus was also kind of an issue. Then number 5 with the tower, which I felt was easier. Stage 6's train boss, which I kind of locked in because I had a powerful weapon, and the fact was I was able to dodge the projectiles more easily, and also having an extra continue. Stage 7's bosses of... that was stage 7 bosses, my apologies. Stage 4's boss was the worms, my apologies. I got it mixed up. The worms, then we had the octopus, then we have the tower, then we have the train, then we had that UFO or flyer at stage 8, which I expect to be much harder. And we kind of had the rather easy final boss. Sure, they did up the variety in terms of how you had to deal with the bosses with their shields, or avoiding their projectiles and damage and bullet hell spreads. But the final boss I felt was disappointingly easy because I really thought, sure, it did have one weak point and a lot of projectiles, but it wasn't as crazy as the UFO or even the octopus. I was expecting more crazy bullet spreads, so that's why I kept commenting during my first fight against it that there would be a second phase or something. But nope, the second phase was more like just a easy victory because you had the ability of the giant final laser. Speaking of the stages themselves, I quite liked the increase in difficulty, like I talked with the enemies and bosses, but, as I said, more variety in stage gimmicks. And really, the final stage I felt could be a little bit more difficult. Sure, it had a lot of secrets which I didn't really see, and it was kind of a labyrinth, which would have helped with an official map or something. But I felt in terms of enemy variety, it was missing out like things like more of those heavy mechs and the walkers. Oh yeah, special attention goes to 2 stages. Like I said, the rainy stage of the rainy desert of stage 4, and the volcano stage 8. Oh my goodness, stage 8, it threw me off guard and it had to force me to do it 3 times before I really understood how to do it. There were other stages where I understood that you were supposed to go over lava quickly, but I didn't expect that all the rocks would collapse, only special colored ones in previous games. But this really forced an anti-turtling incentive to push forward and avoid destroying all the enemies. Oh sure you could, but you would take some damage, or if you were more skilled at dodging everything. And that made me skip things like the orange or purple projectile boomerang tingamajig giant mechs, who actually had the ability to push you into the lava. But otherwise, I quite enjoyed the enemy design, stage design, and boss design. One thing I didn't really comment on in the game this much was the music. It was kind of drowned out by all the action going on and me paying more attention to avoiding stuff. But it is quite good, especially like the final boss teams and some of the stage teams like the Oasis and the Ice Caverns. Even the first stage team did bring up the action, although the soundtrack I would say is kind of forgettable. But to summarize it all up, I enjoyed this. I also enjoyed the aesthetics, the somewhat cartoony aesthetics, but being consistent and having clean 3D design, and everything being a mech, robot, or rider. So, to sum it all up, I would give this game a pretty favorable rating. I would recommend this game to anyone who wants a classic arcadey challenge, and who is willing to retry a few times over if they reach a hard boss or enemy configuration. Oh, and play this game multiple times over, as this game has quite a bit of replay value, thanks to the relics, those special weapons, and the alternate routes in some stages, and of course the hidden treasures, of which the 22 I found 0 of. So there's a lot of exploration that I missed, and a lot of replayability. Plus you can try going for the achievements of never getting hit, only using the red or blue weapon, and completing the game under 90, 60, or 30 minutes. so there's quite a bit of replay value. This game is kind of short, sure, but it fits like the classic game's motto of being short but fun, but really challenging. So it rewards you if you get used to the different gimmicks, especially like things like the direct secondary weapon being a lot better at shotgun range, and the red weapon being piercing and also being better at shotgun range as well. So it feels like the red weapon's a little bit more of a pro player weapon, whereas the blue one is more of a beginner's one. Also with the spread missile. Also with the secondary second weapon, like the guided missiles. I only used it once, but those are more of a crux to me because I really like to direct my fire in a shotgun blast. But it does help with a lot of enemies and you're not good of a player in this game. And I don't blame you for that. But to summarize all the parts, I quite enjoy this, and I would recommend this to anyone who likes classic arcade shmups / twin stick shooters and is willing to replay it. Well then, I thank you all for watching this LP, and I wish you all a nice day. Toodles!